Welcome to our webinar tonight, the Foreign Buyer's Guide to DR Retirement Properties. I am so excited to bring you this information this evening, and I can't wait to see what kind of conversations we have at the end. Just to let you know that I will go through all of the information that I'm going to present. If you've got questions, you can start dropping them into the Q&A. It should be there somewhere. Yeah, we have a Q&A. I am going to get to all of those questions at the end. So please feel free, drop them in. And as you think of them, when we get to the end, I'm going to get into all of them and we'll be able to go back and forth. You are able to send messages to myself and my panelist tonight, which is Thomas, who is taking care of everything here on our back end. We're very grateful for his presence. And again, welcome to tonight's webinar. Let's dive in. All right, so for those of you who don't know me, my name is Michelle Bordeaux. I am your North Coast real estate specialist, and I'm not someone we're going to be talking about tonight. I've done it, and I can't wait to share some of my experiences with you. So I came from Canada in 1999. I've been here 27 years, if you can believe it. I learned to windsurf, and I never left. And that decision for me, it changed everything. I was a massage therapist at the time when I came here. I had my own solo massage therapy practice for 11 years. And then I opened the award-winning Indari Spa at the Millennium Resort 15 years ago. So we've got 15 years running. Okay. Hang on there 1 second, team. Let me get you into full screen. There we go. Thank you. Boom. Okay, here we are. So I developed the Cabaret Butterfly Effect, which is the largest women's water sport leadership event in the Caribbean, and we are celebrating our 18th year. I also bought my first home here in 2003, lived in it for 11 years, sold it, and bought a second one in 2015, and I still have it today. So I'm not just a realtor, I'm also a homeowner. So I came from Canada, I relocated here, and I stepped into real estate first as a buyer and now as someone to help guide you. And I did that starting in 2021. And I joined Realtor DR to help you and other people do exactly what I've done. And I know this market because I live it. Okay, so if you've been on any of my webinars before, you know this is sorting hat time. We want to make sure that you didn't sign up for something else completely different. All right, so this is for you if you're thinking ahead, that you're still working, but you're considering what comes next for your life and your future plans for retirement. This is also for you if you are exploring possibilities. Having visited the North Coast, you may have wondered if owning a property here is a viable option for your lifestyle. And this webinar is for you if you're into smart investments, that you want a property that will generate income before fully retiring, allowing you to secure your future and enjoy your investment. So this is all about setting you up for success, whether you're 10, 15 years away from retiring, or if it's right down the road this coming year. So we've got to talk about, some of you maybe have never been here to the Dominican Republic. Let's talk about, why would you choose here? So for those of you who don't know anything about the Dominican Republic, this is what we're going to talk about. The benefits of investing here. So the Dominican Republic has a growing market. It's completely stable. We have continuous growth and opportunities for foreign buyers, ensuring that your investment is secure and valuable over time. We have the largest growing, fastest growing economy in Latin America. We have stable government, and this economy is booming, as is tourism. Ownership rights. You will enjoy full property ownership rights. No restrictions. It's very easy. It is very straightforward to buy, sell, or rent a property here in the Dominican Republic. And we are also going to have affordable quality of living. Okay, the cost of living here is a lot less than what you're paying in North America. Housing, groceries, dining, everyday expenses, except for maybe electricity, are all significantly more affordable. Your retirement savings will stretch further overall than almost anywhere else in the Americas. The benefits of investing here. The weather alone is worth it. For anyone who lives, in the north, that winters are getting more and more unbearable. And here we have none of that. There are no 6-month winters. We have consistent sunshine. I believe we have close to 300 plus days a year of sunshine, and our trade winds are constantly blowing here on the North Coast. We have healthcare that is accessible and affordable. There are some of you that I was able to speak with over the last couple of days since you registered, and healthcare was a big concern. Like, how do I handle my health while I'm here? The DR has modern private hospitals and clinics. There are English-speaking staff in some of them, and it is quality care at a fraction of North American costs. You can pay for extra insurance here if you need it. Most of the time, your healthcare coverage will work down here, but if not, honestly, paying out of pocket for a lot of things is very, very reasonable. Like, just to give you a quick example, like a dental cleaning is $25. I've had a root canal. You probably didn't need to know that, but it cost me like $600. So it's affordable here to do a lot of things that would be several $1,000s back home. The community is already here. So we've got an established and active expat community of North Americans here and Europeans who've made the same decision that you're considering. So you won't be figuring this out alone. You're going to meet wonderful people who are, either, are similar to you or who have already been here a couple years or who've been here half their lives, like me. So we talked about the DR in general, why choose the North Coast? So the North Coast is renowned for its spectacular active beaches. We've got a vibrant lifestyle and a strong rental demand, making it a prime choice for both living and investing. So some of you who maybe have been to Punta Cana know that Punta Cana is full of all-inclusive resorts. They do have a high rental demand as well, but here on the North Coast, we don't have a lot of all-inclusive hotels. Majority of the people coming here are either staying in a boutique hotel or they're going to be renting your investment property. So our beaches do speak for themselves. Cabarete, Susu, Encuentro, Playa Dorada, Cofresi, they are all unique, individual, and fantastic beaches. Obviously, Cabarete caters to kite surfers, windsurfers, diving in Susua. Cofresi and Playa Dorada are also equally beautiful, calm waters and large stretches of sand. They're great. The rental market is strong here. Okay. The rental market, like I was saying, is very, very, robust here. Short-term vacation rental demand on the North Coast, it's consistent and it's growing. All right. Properties here are attracting tourists year round, not just the peak season, but we do have two, especially if you come in Cabarete. We both have a summer peak season and a winter peak season. So this means that your investment that we're thinking about making is going to be able to generate real income. Okay. And this can happen while you're still working. If you choose to invest before you retire, you'll be able to keep working, pay it off, and have the income that's generated from your rental property. We have a lifestyle that is pretty hard to match. With warm weather all the time, we've got a thriving restaurant and bar scene. We've got beautiful, wonderful outdoor markets with an active international community that knows how to live well. So this isn't going to be a retired destination that's going to slow you down. It's going to be one that opens things up for you. And the North Coast is still affordable. So despite the growing demand, the North Coast remains one of the most accessible entry points in the Caribbean. You are not paying for Barbados or Turks and Caicos prices, at least not yet. Okay, again, more about the North Coast. This is actually an amazing property here called The Wave in Playa Encuentro. And this is Playa Encuentro, by the way. You're not starting from scratch. So again, like I said before, we have an established expat community here. North Americans, Canadians, and Europeans who've already made this move. And we have infrastructure that supports residents. English is widely spoken, so you'll be okay to find people quickly. You'll be surprised how living here. And the Northwoods moment, and it is not slowing down. So our stretch of coastline has been quietly attracting serious investment for the past decade. There are new developments coming that are from both the government sector and the investment sector with upgraded infrastructure, and we are getting growing international attention. So the buyers who moved 5 years ago are already seeing significant appreciation. So this window is still open on the North Coast, but it's not a secret anymore. And getting in now before this next wave of price increases, super smart. So is it safe to invest here? That we talk about, I talk about with almost all of my clients on your side. So foreign buyers have full legal title, no restrictions, the 99-year lease doesn't happen here. You have 100% full legal title, no restrictions on buying. You don't need residency and you don't need a visa. Okay. Our title system has been modernized. So the DR has moved to a process called Deslinde, which is a rigorous government-run boundary and title certification process that uses current GPS technology. So yes, once upon a time, titles here were a little concerning. They're not anymore, and they have not been since this new process came into fruition. And when a property has a completed deslinde, the title is clean, registered, and government certified. Your lawyer that you're going to work with is going to help make sure that there are no liens or any encumbrances, et cetera. But your title with the deslinde means that it is legal and good to go. So your due diligence here is going to be straightforward. So we work with licensed local lawyers. We have a number that we work with on a regular basis, and they are incredible. They're integrous, and they will make sure that once we've created an offer to purchase and the transaction is now in their hands, they will take very good care of you and ensure that your property is legally able to be sold to you, and will make sure that you're protected, as well as they also help you move money. They often have escrow accounts in the United States, making the transfer of funds very, very smooth. Cost of living. So we're going to talk about the cost of living. Now, daily life here does cost significantly less. Okay. So the overall cost of living here is about 49% cheaper than in Canada. Compared to the US, 66% less expensive. So these are some stats that I found. I also live here. I do frequent back into North America, and it's pretty much how it is. Your buying power goes significantly further here. So in the DR, fully furnished villa with a private pool could start around 250,000. That's your average for a two-bedroom. Okay, for the beginner, like entry level. In Canada or US, modern home and comparable gated community could be 500,000 or up, significantly more. Okay, so you're able to buy more with what you do have. Dining out is absolutely more affordable. I think it's the one thing that strikes me every time I go to the United States or to Canada or even to Europe. I'm always like, it's how much? Most restaurants here range from $6 to $9. Obviously, that's not super fine dining, but we get upscale restaurants that average between 34 to 48 a person. So eating well here does not require a special occasion or a special occasion budget. And your retirement savings, they do stretch significantly further. To live comfortably, a single person in the DR needs roughly between 1,500 to 2,500 per month. On the East Coast of the US, that averages 4,000 to 5,000. Couple of the differences is even more, obviously because your social life, but for paying for your basic things in life, as well as moderate entertainment is well within those ranges. So let's talk about the buying process. So say you're interested now. We've talked about why the DR is a great place to invest, why the North Coast is a great place and having its moments. So what does it look like? You're gonna step into a phone call with myself or whichever realtor that you work with and trust and you're working with here in Realtor DR. Because I know that many of you, some of you came, in from an ad, and some of you came from a personal invitation. And so the very first thing you're going to do is you're going to connect with your Realtor DR agent. Okay. you're going to define your budget, your lifestyle, and your timeline. These pieces are really, really important before you even begin to look at properties, because if you don't know how much you can spend, there's no point in looking at all kinds of random properties that you may or may not be able to afford or want to spend that much money on. Okay. And then after we've narrowed it down, you've defined your budget, lifestyle, and timeline, we start looking at properties. That can happen remotely. We can send listings back and forth. And then eventually you're going to want to make it here in person. Highly recommended. If you've never been here before and you want to make a purchase, coming here on a trip is going to be a great idea. Okay. If you've been here many, many times, you know the area well, buy remotely, not a problem. We'll do our best to make sure that we can at least get you into a property on a video, but it's always best to come in person. After you've decided, toured a couple of properties, you found the one, we're going to make an offer and we're going to sign a promise of sale. Okay. Due diligence is going to happen once your deposit's in escrow, and your lawyer will do his due diligence or her due diligence and legal review. After all has been said and done, we're going to sign that final contract and you're going to get a title transfer and registration. And then you get to find yourself a property manager and rental setup if that is what you want to do. Okay, so I have gone through, so based on that buying process, I want to walk you through an approach to investment today. So we want you to think about the possibility of securing your future through strategic property investment. Consider buying now. We all know that the best time to buy real estate was yesterday, and the second best time to buy real estate is today. You want to invest in a property while you can manage those costs comfortably. So you can ensure that you lock in your property now before it's too late. Prices are only going up. We've seen that. We have several very, very hot pre-construction properties, and prices are increasing every 3 to 4 months, as well as prices going up. You know that real estate trends upwards. Vacation use. You're going to be able to use this property. So yes, investing, planning for the future, but you still get to enjoy it in the meantime. Coming here and having your own property available for your vacation use, it's going to allow you to enjoy it while you're generating potential rental income from other guests, while other people's vacations are paying, hopefully, for the costs of running your property. You're going to be getting, like we just said, rental income. All right. Get income from your property when you're not using it. This is going to provide financial support as you transition into retirement. Okay, so yes, your future is waiting for you. You're going to secure your retirement today. Okay, imagine a life where you've already secured your dream property somewhere between the ages of 55 and 60. I'm 52. So I know where we're all at in our thinking right now. You know, we're all still very, very capable, still, working, no plans to leave anytime soon. This is the time. Let's not wait until we're 1 year from retirement. And if you are 1 year from retirement, this still applies. But for those of you who are maybe a little bit on the earlier end of the spectrum, you're going to end up with peace of mind and a solid foundation for your future living arrangements if you love the DR as much as I do and want to spend at least your winters here. Financial freedom. With a mortgage paid down or even fully paid off, okay, you can enjoy your golden years without financial stress, because Lord knows we all have enough of that right now in our working lives. And hopefully that is not the stress that we're going to have once we've decided to slow down a little bit and shift gears into a different way of living and perhaps a different way of using our time. And income generation. A well-positioned property on the North Coast can cover its own costs at a minimum. All of our properties are covering costs at a minimum, but many owners go further in using rental revenue to save, reinvest, or build towards the retirement that they're already planning for. So your property can work for you while you wait. And by the time you're ready to move in, you've already made it pay for itself. And hopefully it's created some extra investment for you along the way. So here's the 3-step plan. 1, June, you're going to book your call. Okay, we're going to be booking our call. Thomas is going to drop the link to book one with me. Again, if you came in from one of our other trusted, wonderful realtors here at Realtor DR, you're going to call them. Okay. You need to get clear on your budget, your timeline, what the market looks like at your price point, and start somewhere smart. You can always upgrade later. So if right now, say a $400,000 villa is not in your price line, it's okay. You're going to be able to start somewhere, get that investment rolling, and then as you go along, you can always sell it and upgrade as you go. So, but step one starts with that call. We've got to create an exchange of information so that you can make an informed decision, because no decisions can be made if you don't have the full story. Number two, step two, July and August. So June, we're getting on calls, we're figuring out, narrowing down information. July and August, we're looking at properties online. If you're still at home, we're going to identify which ones match your budget, your needs. This can all be done remotely. You don't have to be here for this part. Okay. And by the end of August, we should have a short list worth traveling for. Step three, book your trip. It's time. It's time to come, make your move. You want to come and see that short list in person, especially if you've never been here, or regardless, even if you have been here, we always highly recommend that you're able to personally travel and see the properties that you're interested in buying. All right. You're going to find the right one and you're going to make an offer. You're going to close before Christmas and you're going to be ready for high season rentals come December, so that you can rock straight into the best time of year to generate rental income. And that is here on the North Coast, December through mid-April. And then if you were in Cabarete, again, from in July and August. Okay. So if you begin right now today, step it forward, book your call, find your properties, book the trip, buy the property. By December, you have started yourself on this path to creating an incredible investment property for yourself that you're going to be able to use for many, many years to come. Low season runs from September to November. This is why we want you to come then. Oops, hang on. I didn't mean to do that. Okay. We've got some polls popping up. So if everybody could just take a second and grab those polls. So this is the best time to view properties negotiate. So September to November, quiet season. This is when smart investors come to the North Coast. Sellers are worried that because it's low season, they're not going to sell. It's a great time for you to come in and take advantage of all of the properties that are available. There's also, because it's low season, you're also going to be able to see these properties. Normally in high season, sometimes it can be tricky. If properties are rented out, they're not always available to be shown, even if they're for sale. Okay. And if you plan your trip according to your decision timeline, you're going to experience fewer crowds, greater access to motivated sellers. All right. So as we say here at Realtor DR, it is your life. It is time to live it. We are going to jump into our beautiful, wonderful Q&A session. So we're about 25 minutes in here. I've just sort of walked you through a plan and taken you through a few things. So we've got some people here in the poll. We've got a number of you who are just starting to explore. So happy to meet you. That you've been researching for a while but haven't pulled the trigger. So about half and half on those two. And a couple of you who are ready to go, ready to take your next step. And a couple of you already own property. That's great. All right. So let me find our Q&A in here. There we go. Okay. So we've got Stephen. I think it's less of a question and more of a statement, but Stephen already bought a property in Sosua in Hispaniola. So you've heard that if you invest in $200,000, you can get residency status. It allows you to begin that process but it doesn't automatically grant you residency. Okay. And you need to work 10 more years till retirement. You plan to rent out in the meantime, perfect, and use it for 4 weeks a year for vacation. That's exactly the scenario that we're talking about. Oh, his daughter is dual Canadian and Dominican. Wonderful. And you started coming in 97. Great. I came in 99. And you came back oh, wonderful. 16th time to the DR. Well, great, Stephen. Happy to have you as a neighbor. Um, so what projects are available now and how much? Well, Horatio, there's a lot of projects that are happening here in the North Coast, and I am going to send you the last webinar that I did about a month ago about several of our pre-construction properties that we have happening here, as well as there's a number of obviously already built homes and apartments here for sale. And everything ranges from, we've got studios that are under $100,000 up to multi-million dollar properties and everything in between. So there's absolutely something for everyone. How is Casa Linda for expats? Casa Linda is great for expats. 100%. It is I would say the majority of the owners in Casa Linda are North American. There's obviously Europeans and Dominicans as well. Okay. But but definitely very expat friendly. Is it better to finance here in the States or with the banks in the DR? Horatio, great question. Okay. Financing here is not the same as it is back home. It definitely looks a little bit different. We are happy to connect you with a couple of our preferred lenders here on the island, and you're going to see if you qualify. So same process as you go through in the US. Once you do, though, the banks here will only finance up to 70% of their assessed value of a property. So you still got to come in with that 30, 40%, depending on their assessed value of the property. It's not always the sale price. Okay. And they will lock in an interest rate for only up to 5 years. They'll amortize for 25, but they'll only lock in your interest rate for up to 5. And that current best rate is 9%. The other financing options, okay, are seller financing, which we do a lot. We work with many of our sellers if they're able to offer financing. Now, seller financing will often look something like some of our most common is 50% down, and they'll finance for between 5 to 10 years at around 8%, which is still 1% less than the banks are currently offering. Okay. So those are pretty much the two biggest ones. I also encourage people, if you do own property in the United States and Canada, to look into a HELOC, which is a home equity line of credit, and see if that could also be the way that you could move forward, because sometimes your interest rate on that HELOC at your banks back home will be better than what you can get here. So it's about exploring your options and seeing what's possible. Hi, Lenny. Okay, what are some hidden costs in owning a property? Okay, hidden costs can be something like that split AC units here tend to need to be replaced a little bit more often than, say, your home central air conditioner back home. That could be a hidden cost for some people. They don't cost as much as your central air, but they do tend to have to be replaced more often. But otherwise, there's really, I think maybe something that people need to understand is that your home needs to be taken care of while you're not here. So if you're someone who's planning to purchase it but doesn't want to rent it out, because not everybody does want to rent it out, highly recommend that you move forward with a property manager, somebody who can take care of your property, go in at least once a month, if not more, to open everything up, air it out, turn everything on, because the humidity that we have here is not friendly to electronics. And the large amounts of moisture in the air here don't tend to allow things to smell great if you leave your house locked up for 6 months. So that could be something that not everyone is expecting to have to manage as they move forward. However, we do make sure that when we present you with an investor summary, that we take that into consideration when we calculate your monthly costs. Okay, I answered that. Joe, hi, Joe. Info on new flights coming into Santiago and soon POP. At the moment, I don't have any new flights that I know that are scheduled. However, there has been notice that the Amber Highway it looks like it's actually going to happen again. I never believe it until it's built here. But it looks as though in the next month or two that they will begin the process of building the Amber Highway. That's going to be a highway that's going to connect sort of between the airport in Puerto Plata directly to Santiago in 30 minutes. So what that means is that you're going to be able to take advantage of flights both to Santiago and to Puerto Plata to come here to say Sisua Cabarete, because the time of travel won't be as long as it currently is, which is about an hour and 45 minutes. Okay. Do Americans have to pay income tax on investment income? I do believe that the United States tax arm reaches you wherever it is that you are. However, I do believe that there is an exemption level of income. I'm not American, I'm Canadian. So I would check with your accountant back in the US for a more accurate answer on that. The typical rental price per week for a 2-bedroom. So hi, Norman. In the properties that we specialize in, what percentage does the rental company take? Again, rental price is going to vary greatly, just like the price of purchasing a property, depending on the level of luxury of the property and where it's located, and how in demand that unit is to be rented out. Now, a rental company will take anywhere from 15 to 30% generally of your rental income. Some who are taking less of a rental income usually have a monthly fee involved with their services, a fixed monthly fee, and they'll take less of your rental property. And then those who are taking on the higher end, say 30 to 40%, they will be only taking from that. There will not be any fixed monthly cost with them. They'll only come out of your rental income. Typical. Hi, Kelly Solomon. Hey, what are the typical legal fees for the total process? Generally, legal fees can be estimated anywhere between 1% and 2%. They're mostly 1% around there. But if you happen to have a pre-construction property or you set up financing where there will be multiple contracts along the way, then your lawyer may increase their fees for multiple contracts. Okay. So we've got April. Hi, April. When I say villa, is that an apartment or a house? I'm referring to a home, a single family home. So would you be able to buy a house for 200,000 or less? 200,000 for a house is tricky. It doesn't mean that they don't happen. They do. But that's something we'll have to start looking for and keep our eyes out for one that comes to market. And when we find it, we grab it. So on average, what are HOAs? Again, this also varies greatly depending on the property. HOAs here, so I want to just reference that they're not, homeowner associations are not the nightmares you hear that coming out of Florida. They are generally set up. There's a management company that runs it. You have a say as a homeowner in what your money gets spent on. But generally, most HOAs are there and they cover the requisite fees that need to go into reserve, mandated by law. And then, which is not a lot, I think it's like 10% of the overall budget. And then everything else is going to just go to pay for what you use, your security, your backup power. Sometimes your building will cover water and common ground electricity if you have a common ground pool, all of those things. It's those expenses that everyone tallies up and splits. Okay, hi Ben. What are annual visa stay limits? Great question. When you fill out your e-ticket, so for those of you who've flown in, you filled out your electronic, e-ticket to get in here and to get out. And for those of you who haven't, it's just an electronic, travel document that you're required to fill out before you come in here. That automatically grants you 30 days. Now, in the Dominican Republic currently, they do not require you to exit and enter every 30 days. What they've done, which is great, and as of right now, you just go and pay a fine when you leave. So say, Ben, you come, you bought a property here, you're going to stay the winter. You're going to come in November, you're going to leave in April. Okay. You're going to pay for the amount of time you stayed over that 30 days. And it's not punitive. So it means you're not in trouble because you stayed over. It just means that as you exit from the airport, they're going to calculate the number of days over, and it goes in ranges of 1 to 3 months, et cetera, and on up. Okay. 3 months over your tourist visa. So that if you stay 4 months, you're looking at paying, I do believe, around 40, 45 US dollars. It's quite manageable. Okay, moving on. Dan. Hi, Dan. So, how does the local Dominican population feel about the influx of expats? Well, I've been here 27 years, and the vast majority of people that I know in this country are delighted by all of the tourism and the influx of expats. It brings money and jobs, and we are very wonderfully, integrated as a community, I feel. Um, and it's something that everyone is excited about because when we have more tourists, everyone has more money, people have more jobs, salaries go up, and everyone is able to live a really good life. The Dominican Republic, tourism is our major industry here. And so, of course, the more tourists, the better, and the more that that helps the economy. When the economy is better somewhere, everyone is happy. Eric, hi Eric. So the tax implications on a rental income in the DR in Canada. Again, Eric, that really depends on how you set it up, what your accountant says, and again, and what you choose to report back to the Canadian government. Um, I do believe that there is again an exemption level. So unless you're making more, as over a certain amount, I don't know what that number is. So you'll have to go and ask your accountant. You be exempt from it. How was my process purchasing a car more expensive in the US? Hey, Joanne, great question. Yes, it's going to be more expensive than the United States and Canada because we don't make cars here. Cars have to get on a boat and get over here and they've got to go through customs and they're paying 30% to get off that boat, which means that price, that tax gets passed on to you. Um, Financing for cars also, just like financing for properties, is not the same here. So you're going to want to plan to purchase your vehicle outright. Now, if you're coming and you're only staying for the winter, I don't recommend that you purchase a vehicle, again, for the same reason that humidity is not friendly to things that are not moving. So your car will suffer immensely if you don't leave it with the hands of someone who can drive it regularly while you're not here. A lot of people don't want that liability and or hassle. So they come if they're staying for 4 6 months, rent a car. If you're going to be here longer than 6 months and you're planning to move here permanently, 100% get a vehicle. You get to get used to the driving. But after you've gotten used to driving here, it'll be smooth sailing. Paul, what is the issue with operating a business in the DR? And that business here in the Dominican Republic. Well, you can legally apply to get what is here, like the version of an LLC in this country is called an SRL. And again, I'm going to encourage you to work with a lawyer, work with an accountant, and they'll get everything set up for you. It really there's no prohibitions to any of that. You may want to consider, moving forward with your residency process if you do want to start a business, but it's not mandatory. You don't have to. Okay, pros and cons of owner financing. Great question, Lenny. So, pros, you don't have to go through the banks. You don't have to do all that stuff. You'll easily be approved. The terms of the financing can be negotiated between you and the seller, and that does not happen with you and the bank, as we know. So those are some of the pros. And again, you're going to get a better rate locked in than you would with the bank. And there's usually no penalties for prepayment. So say you come up with the cash and you're done with the loan, you can pay it off without any worry. Okay. Some of the cons are if you default, if you screw up as a buyer, you're going to lose it all. If you sell or finance, there's no getting any of it back. And that is one of the biggest major drawbacks for that. So as long as you're sure and you are comfortable and secure in your ability to pay off that loan, you are good to go. Okay. Yes, Howard, I will happily send you a list of gated communities. If you are registered with me, I want you to feel free. We are going to jump on a call together and we're going to go through some of those gated communities that have villas. Some of the most common ones here, obviously, are in the Cabarete Sosua area. We have Sosua Ocean Village, Seahorse Ranch, Casa Linda. There's a few others scattered around. Those are the big three. Guillermo is asking, I'm an American. What are the caveats that I should be aware of as far as tax liability? Again, those are things that you're going to need to discuss with your American tax lawyer as far as what you need to report living abroad and income being generated abroad. There is taxes because the US government doesn't let you get away with that. So you're definitely going to need to speak with a professional on that. Even if you apply for Dominican citizenship, to my knowledge, the United States government will still come after you for taxes. Sorry. Joanne, how do we find good contractors? So you're looking at a condo in Sosua. Are you talking about renovations? So if you're talking about renovations, this is where, again, working with us here at Realtor DR, we have a list of amazing people that we work with regularly because obviously many of our buyers want to renovate their properties, and we help connect them with people who are reliable. So people that aren't going to run away and who are going to do a great job. So we're happy to do that for you. Feel free, work with your realtor. They're going to set you up for success. Hi, Laura. We've got what are the costs? Oh, legal fees, closing costs. So we talked about legal fees already. Closing costs. You are going to be paying a 3% title transfer tax in addition to your 1% legal fees. So we're looking at approximately 4% of your transaction are going to be for closing costs. Buyers do not pay a realtor. Realtors are paid by the seller. Okay. So Guillermo's asking, once I own, how would I know if an Airbnb is right for me? Short, long term, is location a big factor? Okay, yes, 100% location is a big factor. If you want to use your property, you're obviously going to want to go for short term because that makes more sense so that you can use it. But if you don't want to use it and you do want a long-term renter, obviously, you have the stability, less money per month, but you have the stability and the guarantee of a certain amount of income every single month. So again, that's something that you're going to have to weigh for yourself. Sometimes people also do what I call short, long-term rentals, which would be say for like 3 or 4 months. There are many people who come, obviously, who retirees who haven't bought yet, and they want a rental property that they can rent from November until April. So that's what I call my short, long-term rentals. So that's another possibility that you could also work like that. Okay, typical HOA fees. Again, varies from properties. I've seen HOA fees as low as, $15, $25. That is not the norm. Most, I would say, are going to be between, 150 to 350. Again, depends on the size of your property, depends on the level of your gated community. Many, many, many factors go into that number. Is it possible to import a vehicle from abroad? It is. I don't recommend it, but it is. If you do, you're going to want to work with a car import broker. You're not going to want to do that by yourself. Don't do that by yourself. Promise me. You're not going to do that by yourself, Ben. It's not a good idea. It will do your head in the logistics and the red tape and the bureaucracy that is involved with that process. So definitely hire someone to do that if you absolutely have to import that car, because I know that there's some people and their cars are like their children. Tammy, what is the longest length of time for financing on an initial purchase for an apartment or condo? So again, that's going to depend whether you're with a bank or with a seller. So sellers set their number of years they're willing to finance for. That can be anywhere from 5. I've seen up to 20. 20 doesn't happen all that often, but it does happen once in a while. But most of the time it's 5 to 10. If you're with a bank, you can amortize up to 25 years. So Joanne is thinking about getting an attorney. Do I have recommendations? Do we? Yes, we have some wonderful recommendations here, and I'm happy to walk you through them. I have done a webinar previously with one of our local lawyers who works at a law firm called Guzman Ariza. Her name is Annabelle Rizek. Feel free if you want, Joanne, I can send that webinar to you to check out. Aneri, hi, Aneri. So does property taxes work the same as in the US? So here, property taxes are generally 1% of the price of your property as it's registered in the DGI. However, there is an exemption rate of approximately 170,000 US dollars. So if your property is valued underneath 170,000 US dollars, you pay no property tax. Say you have a home that's worth, $300,000. You are going to pay 1% on $130,000, which is the difference between the exemption rate and the price of your property that's registered. Hey, Chris. Okay. Chris has been here a few times and he's in real estate. Hi, fellow realtor. So what infrastructure upgrades are slated for Cabarete? Power, water, sewer? Okay. Oh, we got a lot of big questions here. Okay. So um, infrastructure upgrades. Currently, I know that they are working on some water upgrades in and around the North Coast area. Our roads are currently in quite decent condition. At least our main roads here on the North Coast, as they were done about 6 years ago. We do not have sewer systems, and there is no planned upgrade for that currently that I am aware of. Um, power, power is as power does. I do not, they're always claiming that they're doing upgrades, but it's not something I would hold my breath on, which is why we all have backup generators and or solar power. The next election for president is going to be in 2028. So our current president is Luis Abinader, and his party, he will have completed his second term, so he will not be up for re-election. It will be a new go-around. By revenue property. Okay, no, we're not going to, no fractional ownership happening here. And yes, absolutely. Let's talk offline one day. We'll do that. And then that way we could have a more in-depth conversation on some of those questions. Nelly. So you own property in Gaspar Hernandez, KBN. Malls, hospitals, pre-construction, future construction projects. Are we speaking directly in Gaspar Hernandez? I'm not familiar of any current projects that are happening in Gaspar Hernandez. However, I could always find out for you. We don't tend to have a lot of clients looking in Gaspar Hernandez, but we do say a little bit farther along the road in Rio San Juan and Cabrera. There is a lot happening, obviously, out in the Cabrera, Playa Grande area, and that is of the extreme high-level luxury development. Laura, hi Laura again. Do Canadians have to declare rental as income? Again, I do believe you're going to need to talk with your Canadian accountant about that and see what the CRA demands as far as reporting goes and how much. I know you have an exemption rate. I don't know what that number is. Okay, so what makes the North Coast as opposed to the South Coast? Great question. So Kelly, up here on the North Coast, we are on the Atlantic Ocean still. The South and the Southeast Coast, like Punta Cana and below, they're in the Caribbean Sea. So Atlantic, we've got Atlantic Ocean conditions. Obviously, we have amazing conditions, wind conditions that give us our windsurfing, surfing, kite surfing. We've got world-class surf breaks and things like that here. And the sand is a little bit more sand colored. We are much more lush. We have a lot more rainfall up here on the North Coast, so everything is always green and beautiful, whereas in the South, it tends to be a little bit drier, a little bit more desert-like. Okay. Horatio, I think I answered the attorney question already. We do have gated communities here, and it is very safe to buy in a non-gated community, provided that you set up your own type of security. That is either, with some walls or with some specialized fencing, or perhaps your own security. It's not crazy dangerous here. But I wouldn't want to especially have a property where I wouldn't be present in that property to be left alone without some sort of security around it. Okay, hi Dan. You're considering a long-term rental while you look at property. So what's the best way to find a rental property while looking? There are a number of agencies here that specialize in long-term renting. You can always look on Airbnb and you can inquire about staying longer stays, because most people who have their properties on some of the short-term rental sites will accept some long-term rental conditions, and you can negotiate that with them once you put the amount of stay in that you want, and you can start to go have a conversation about would they consider a long-term rental. Okay, average rental question answer. Thank you. Again, property taxes. I think I answered that one. And okay, so what are some of the challenges faced by expats? I would say for some people, it can be the language. yes, there are many English speakers here explaining that I'm the owner of Indari Spa. And for example, all of my front desk staff, they all speak English. So you're able to communicate. Sometimes if you're going to have somebody, like one of the other benefits of living here on the North Coast is your quality of life. You can afford to perhaps have someone come in and help you with your house cleaning, or drive you around or things like that. And you may have a communication blockage with them. So, but that's motivation for you to just learn Spanish, which is also good for keeping your brain young. Um, so that can be a challenge finding things here. So another challenge, we're used to be able to, open up the yellow pages or go online and immediately search and be able to find whatever it is that we want to do. That's not always the case here. So I always encourage my clients, I'm a great resource of information. Sometimes it's better for you to just ask. And I know we don't always want to ask. Sometimes we like to figure it out ourselves, and that sometimes can be frustrating. Okay. Uh, and another challenge can sometimes be driving. Sometimes it takes people a little bit of time to get used to, the differences here on the road, because there are differences. Um, yes, Devin brings up a good point. He's about the travel. He understands that there's a requirement to have a return ticket. Yes, you cannot come in on a one-way ticket anymore. That was the case for a little while. It is not the case now. So if you are not a legal resident here of this country, you need to show a return ticket upon entry. Okay, so Ben's asking, what's the easiest way to get to the North Coast if you're flying into Punta Cana? Either grab a taxi or rent a car and drive on up. It's about a 5.5, 6 hour drive from Punta Cana, but it really is the easiest way. There's no short flights or anything like that. And the bus takes way too long. Don't do that to yourself. Okay, Steven's asking, how long does it take on average to earn a Dominican citizenship once you've moved there? So there's no amount of time that you use towards citizenship. You need to begin the process first of legal residency. So you're going to start with residency, and then from there you can move into citizenship after that. But legal residency grants you all the rights of citizenship except for being able to vote. If you want to vote, yes, you want to proceed to citizenship. However, legal residency can get you all of the things you need, including your Dominican national identity card, which is called your cedula, which you'll be required in order to get a driver's license here in this country. T's asking, do you have a list of reputable contractors for properties? Yep, for sure we do. Come and talk to me. Okay. So again, we just talked about the differences between gated over not gated. For me, I mean, yes, you have to get along with other people. If you're not someone who can get along with other people, find a property without that. And you do have to live with some of the restrictions, but you get a lot of benefits from being in a gated community, such as your backup power and your security, and you don't have to handle all that stuff by yourself, which you would be on the hook for if you've got your own property that's not inside of, some sort of communal area. And now there's some places that are HOA light. For example, like Perla Marina. Yes, they have an HOA, but they've got very few rules, and the cost for the HOA is very, very minimal. And you get HOA light, so that could be an option for you. Best of both worlds. Pre-construction or ready to buy? Again, Guillermo, great question. This is going to depend on your wants and needs and your ability to want to wait. For those of you who are looking a few years out, pre-construction can be a great idea. They might not be ready for another, 1 to 2 years. However, it doesn't matter because you're not quite there yet. And so you can make payments over the course of pre-construction. Usually you get better pricing than it would be after it's completed. So you can generate immediate appreciation. But it still could be, anywhere from 1 to 3 years before it's done. So you can't use it, even though you're making the investment. When you have something that's ready to buy, obviously you get instant gratification, you get instant access to generating income, and you have instant use of your property. And you continue in something that, that's already there. And some people just feel a lot safer with something they can physically see and touch versus something that is on a render and not yet built yet. So again, that is great conversation to have with your realtor and something to look at. We've got some great properties here. Again, I'm going to refer you back to my last webinar that I did, which is highlighting some of the 5 best pre-construction properties that are happening here in the North Coast right now. So Maurice, yes. So if you are working with financing, you won't pay the full 4% because well, it depends. Caveat there. There's two ways to do it when you've got financing. Usually the banks will, some sellers will not. As you move through the financing process, you will transfer the title into your name, and then the lender will put a lien on that title. If that happens, yes, you will have to pay the 3% in addition to your legal fees. If the seller chooses to keep the title in their name until everything is paid off, then you will not pay that 3% until you finish paying off the property, and then you can move the title into your name. Should you be worried about a scam? If you choose to fly solo and go out there into the wild wild west, it's possible that you can run into a scam. But this is why we encourage you to work with an incredible brokerage like myself and all my entire team here at Realtor DR, because we vet contractors, we vet developers, we vet all of our sellers and all of the properties that we're selling. You're going to know that you're going to be able to buy a legal property, and you're going to be working with somebody who's got your back. If you go it alone, it happens. It really does. And it breaks my heart. So connect up with someone that you trust. Let them guide you through this process, whether it's myself again or one of my colleagues. We will make sure that you are protected. Do we have some agents on the Caribbean coast? I'm guessing Teresa, you're maybe asking about Punta Cana. Yes, we have an amazing agent from our office who's down in Punta Cana that we can connect you with. Okay, so Tammy's asking about potential structural damage should a hurricane come through, and what does insurance cover? Okay, so Tammy, one thing here on the North Coast is another benefit. The benefits of the North Coast, but that we do experience hurricanes. However, due to our proximity, constantly pushing high pressure just off our coast, which again, we still experience them, but when we get the outer bands of a storm, we are not experiencing grave, life-threatening, and devastating property damage here. That being said, if there should be a hurricane that does manage to get across Puerto Rico and our mountains forget to cover things, and again, that's going to depend, obviously, like in the US or Canada, on the type of insurance policy you have, but they are there to cover flooding, hurricanes, all of the usual fires, all of the usual things that insurance covers. Yes, Maurice, we are absolutely. Maurice is asking where our Realtor DR office is located, and we are located in the same plaza as what is called La Sirena Market, and it's in Sosua. I'm here right now, actually. Is Samana considered North Coast or South Coast? It is considered North Coast. When was the last hurricane in the DR? I think it was a couple of years ago. We were not very affected by it. I think the last biggie that passed here, I believe, was Maria, but that was 2017. We have had other smaller storms come by, but nothing of consequence because I don't even remember their names. So the water system here is septic, Tammy. Tammy's asking if there's no sewer systems, what do we do? We're all on septic systems. So it's just like, say, if you're up north at the cottage in Canada, we're on a septic system. So Joe is asking if I know the real name of the beautiful red flowering trees on the island. Yep. Flamboyant, they're called. Flamboyant trees, yes. And they're gorgeous and they are blooming right now. It's wonderful. So Yurkani is asking about issues with property titles and protections for investors. Again, this is why, first of all, you want to work with a really great realtor who's first going to make sure that the properties that you're looking at are going to be vetted. The second line of protection that you have are the lawyers that we're going to set you up with, who are going to ensure before any money changes hands that your title, that the property that you're considering purchasing is both legal, clear of liens and encumbrances, and able to be sold. Okay, so you're going to make sure all of those things are going to be taken care of before you purchase the property. Okay, Guillermo's asking, Airbnb, furnished or not? what's best for a first time. So the majority of properties here that are coming, that you're buying that are already built, most of them, I would say 95, 99% of them are going to be furnished already. So you'll be able to swap, change, keep 100% of what's there and just move directly forward with your Airbnb, just like that. And then Tammy is asking, are there extra fees for the use of a septic system? No, because usually it belongs to the property that you've paid into. And yes, so these tanks are buried underground. Generally, if it's your own villa, you're going to want to have them, emptied every five or so years. It is not very expensive. So, it's a couple $100 to have your tank emptied, if that. And yes, you can either, we don't tend to drink the straight up tap water here on the island. People either consume water from the big plastic jugs, which we call botellons, or you can get a UV filter system put on either one tap in your house or on your whole entire home so that your home can exist just like it would back in North America or Europe. Okay. And no, there's no backup odors or smells. None at all. Absolutely none. Okay. Wow. This has been an incredible round of questions, everyone. Let's see. We've got, do we have any other questions, Thomas, in the chat that are interesting? You've answered already? Thank you. What a pleasure it is to have Tomas here with me answering questions in the chat. Okay. Oh, Tammy, thank you. I have really appreciated being able to spend some time with everyone here tonight. This is going to be the gift that you give yourself tonight, is just to simply book a call. If you're curious, if you're more than curious and you're ready to go, the next piece of your puzzle is going to be information. And the best way for you to get that information is to sit down with your realtor. And whether it's me or whoever else invited you tonight, please connect with them, because a conversation doesn't cost you anything except for a small amount of time. And it can be the difference between you knowing whether this is the right decision for you or not. And if it is, this is the time. Properties are not getting less expensive. They're getting more expensive. And, your desire to continue working is dwindling. I know. I feel it starting to come as well. And now's the time for you to plan. And if you can get something and enjoy it and have it be a safe and profitable investment, this is the time. If this is a calling that you have on your heart, let's book that call, because this is really truly the next step. And that's all the next step gets to be. And we'll handle the rest from there. All right. So, we've got one more question here. Do we want to dive back in to the Q&A? So Aneri is asking, what is our process like if we buy the property outright? Again, I went through that in the initial buying process, and it's very, very straightforward. Find your property, make an offer, deposit, due diligence with your lawyer, final contracts, away you go. And everything will be handled for you. It's quite straightforward and quite simple if you're buying a property outright with cash, which most of our clients tend to do here. All right. So for those of you who that is your next path, we're here for you. Everyone here at Realtor DR is so excited to get to know you and to take you on that next step. And we look forward to you becoming our neighbor. All right. Have a wonderful evening, everyone. You will be getting the replay in an email tomorrow. You're also going to be getting all of my presentation slides that you'll have access to. Okay, so feel free. Everything's coming tomorrow. Don't know exactly when everything's going to get uploaded to YouTube, but expect it at some point, probably midday. Okay, so everything is coming towards you. Keep your eye out for emails from me as well over the next week. Have a wonderful evening, and I can't wait to get on a call with you. Good evening.